First up, though, let's talk about Storm Bert and the absolute devastation of pretty much a month's rain falling over the weekend in large parts of the country. South Wales particularly badly hit. We're now looking at 5 deaths as a result of that storm. Let's talk to meteorologist Joe Wheeler to find out the latest. Good morning to you, Joe.
Hello there. Well, it does seem that Storm Bert is continuing to affect us into today. The winds are still gusting up to 60 miles per hour in the north. Some very blustery showers around. Southern parts of the country having a much brighter day. Still quite breezy, though. And this was to be expected because Storm Bert was, after all, an area of low pressure, which is just slowly crossing the north of the UK. So it will continue to affect us until it's actually moved away.
I mean, that's the thing. It's still ongoing. This is the trouble, isn't it, for northwest and parts of Scotland. But, of course, even once the rain has stopped, and certainly I'm looking out the window, talkTV towers right now, got a bit of blue sky. I haven't seen that for a bit. And you know, the rain is not falling. But for large parts of the country where they've seen massive downfalls, that impact of the rain is going to keep on coming for not just days but weeks, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, in so many words, this was forecast to deliver up to a month's worth of rain. Yeah. Parts of Wales and the southwest, and there you're kind of looking at around 150 millimetres, and that's exactly what they got. Now, of course, when the rain comes down, heavy rain, you're right, initially you think, gosh, there's a lot of rain, but it's when it all starts to run away and gather in places that you start to see these impacts. So I think there are still something like 200 flood warnings in operation today. And again, we saw this coming. We knew the strength of the winds. We knew that power lines would come down, I think 60,000 in parts of Ireland. In fact, whilst we had yellow and amber warnings, Met Iran had 2 red warnings. They knew what was coming. You know, we all knew what was coming. I've seen a lot of criticism today about the warning system, and I'm thinking, oh, sorry, that was exactly what was said. A lot of people complain, you know, when we do put warnings out, going, oh, it's a spell of wet and windy weather, get over it. And you're right, for some people it was, but for others it was really very...
Absolutely. And again, it is one of those things sometimes you've sort of, I mean, the heart goes out to those who've lost loved ones, but every now and then you sort of think, why on earth are some people taking certain risks? They say, you know, don't leave the house. They say don't go on journeys. They say don't go near the coast if there's big storms. And people often do those things. But also we see, I mean, so many homes that and businesses that have been damaged. And, of course, we know water damage is absolutely devastating. I suppose it's more obvious fire damage. People can see the damage, but I've had my home flooded before, I was mentioning earlier. It takes, I mean, so long for homes to dry out. You've got the issue, of course, a lot of it, you know, with rivers overflowing. It's sewage that's in people's homes, and the devastation is just horrific, isn't it?
Completely horrendous, isn't it? You know, these incredible pictures of cars floating along, all of them bumping into each other, and, you know, for everyone that does, you think, well, that's somebody's car, that's their transport. Whether it'll ever go again after tomorrow, you know, without water on board, it's very hard to say. You know, the human loss, the property loss, the damage to, you know, the environment, to little communities, it's absolutely awful. And then the question is, what else could we have done? Where could those people have gone? You know, we're seeing these pictures there of people emptying water from the street into the river, which is already overtopping. Yeah. You know, people are doing everything they can. What more could have been?
And we were saying earlier, I mean, Mother Nature, you know, I mean, I know there'll be a conversation, people say, oh, it's climate change. Someone will say, well, you know, you didn't dredge the river, this dam, this flooding defence wasn't put in that was recommended, and building on floodplains and all of this. But at the end of the day, Mother Nature will wreak her havoc when Mother Nature chooses to.
She will indeed. I do think those things need looking at. You're talking to me this morning from Lincolnshire. Very flat county, a lot of it below sea level. We have a lot of dikes and dams and that kind of thing because we know that we're in danger of flooding. And because of that, we have so many measures in place, and therefore we very, very rarely do.
Yeah, well, it is absolutely crucial, as proved so, as we've seen many of the disasters around Europe. Joe Wheeler, thank you very much indeed for joining us. She's a meteorologist, obviously. Sam Armstrong, I mean, again, we always get into this debate. Now, I mean, again, BBC and everyone was very quick to go, oh, climate change, we're going to see more and more of this extreme weather. Actually, that's not what the IPCC reports actually say, you know, in terms of we're not seeing more extreme weather. They say, oh, but when we do get it, it's more extreme. No, we're just more people are impacted by it. And also, so we see footage of it. People have got mobile phones, the TV cameras are there, they can helicopter there. Years gone by, people didn't do that. But there's also this massive issue. They're just simply not doing a lot of the environmental work they used to do to contain things like flooding.
Yeah, look, the frank reality is we've always had big storms in this country, 1 or 2 a winter. We've always had a bit of flooding in this country, a couple of times a year. But look, where are we seeing more flooding? Well, places like the flats, the lowland countries, where people used to drench. Eco schemes came along, said don't dredge anymore, and now we see much more flooding. People are suffering. That's why just a bit of common sense.
Can we just go back to common sense on everything? That would be that would be a great thing to stand on in Parliament, wouldn't it?